Guava Island is directed by Hiro Murai and stars Donald Glover, Letitia Wright and Rihanna, and is now available to watch on Amazon Prime. Now, I didn't know this movie was even a thing until earlier this week, and I'm very surprised at that, especially considering who's in it. You've got Rihanna and Childish Gambino, of all people, two of the biggest pop stars in the world, yet I didn't know this was a thing until earlier this week. So I'm very surprised they managed to keep it under wraps for as long as they did. And I'm also doubly surprised, especially considering how much I like Childish Gambino and Donald Glover as a whole. So I thought I would have seen something pop up on one of my social media outlets, but no, apparently it just came out of the blue, and now we have Guava Island, which is, I think, written by, produced by, and also starring Donald Glover. And it kind of shows, because this kind of has a similar tone to Atlanta in regards to the way it looks and how the story plays out. I haven't seen much of Atlanta. I've only seen about 1 or 2 episodes of it. But I can definitely tell you now that the style and tone they go for in Atlanta is a lot more weirder and more abstract, whereas this is kind of a bit more to the point, but yet there is still something about it which feels like that show. And that probably has something to do with the guy directing this film, which is Hiro Murai, who, if I remember rightly, directs a lot of the episode, if not all of the episodes for Atlanta, as well as Childish Gambino's This Is America, which that is simply one of the best music videos I think I've ever seen. So I kind of knew going in that even if this movie ended up being bad, I knew it would be very well shot and very well directed. And that is definitely one of the best things I can say about Guava Island. The cinematography and overall aesthetic of the film is gorgeous. They perfectly utilise the surroundings of this small little island that they filmed on, and to really make the most of the aesthetic which is set up in this beautifully animated opening sequence, what they decide to do is condense the aspect ratio basically to a square, similar to what they did with A Ghost Story a couple years ago, and add this retro-y 70s film grain look to it to make it match this exotic, otherworldly kind of feel to the whole film, and it really does work, and it leads to some really gorgeous shots later on in the film. And whilst we're on that whole thing, the acting in the movie is really good from pretty much everyone. Donald Glover is as good as usual, but that being said, this is Donald Glover we're talking about. He's kind of brilliant in everything he does. Rihanna, I thought, was surprisingly good. I haven't seen her act in much besides Battleship, if anyone remembers that. But she's really good here. She doesn't get that many lines, but she is good as the love interest for Donald Glover's character. And Letitia Wright is also really good with the limited amount of screen time that she has. But yeah, no, the acting on a whole is really good. Another thing about this movie that kind of took me off guard, but that being said, when you consider who it's by, you should have really seen it coming, and that's the amount of music in it. Because when I read the description of this film, it says it's a thriller, yet when you watch it, it actually kind of plays out a little bit like a musical. Because what Donald Glover's been able to do is incorporate songs that he released under the Childish Gambino name last year and incorporate them into the movie as musical set pieces. Not extravagant set pieces like, say, La La Land, but they're still set pieces of some sort. He manages to work around the confinements of a small little island setting and make those musical set pieces work. And I will admit that it did get to a point where it did start to feel like that Donald Glover can do anything showcase rather than a compelling movie. But that being said, the guy literally can do anything, so, you know, I suppose it's a positive in that sense. If I had to nitpick with this movie, I would suppose the only flaw I really have is that I wish it was longer. The movie comes in at a mere 55 minutes, which kind of actually makes it class more as a short film than it is a full-length movie, but a lot of people seem to be classing it as a full-length film for some reason. But yeah, that is kind of my only complaint with the film. I wish it was longer. And especially considering how well the film is put together, I would love to see Hiro Murai tackle a proper full-length feature movie, because it shows that he knows exactly what he's doing with the camera. He can set up gorgeous-looking shots and can do something creative and different with stuff like the aspect ratio and the overall presentation of the film to make it stand out. So I would really like to see him tackle a much bigger project in the years to come. In the end, I think I'm going to give Guava Island an 8 out of 10. This is probably one of the best things I've seen so far this year, but again, that's not saying much, especially if you consider the last few movies I've reviewed. But yeah, no, this was a pleasant surprise, and I do wish I'd known a little bit more about it before its release, but, I mean, you know, I can't change that now. The thing's already out. So guys, that was my review of Guava Island. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked the video, then give it a thumbs up, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Bye!